Welcome back, guys. FearlessDojo here, and we are doing the episode 3 of Obi-Wan Kenobi review. And this is not going to take very long because this was an excellent episode. Everything I wanted. There's going to be some spoilers in this review. It's a hard episode to talk about without a little bit of spoiler action. But we have Obi-Wan with a lightsaber. Granted, he gets his butt kicked. Um, that's okay, but at least he's using his lightsaber. He's shaking off the rust. Reva is not awful anymore. It's almost like she completely turns her character around, which is amazing. She has several good scenes, and they're not overly dramatic. They're not overly acted. She's not ridiculously terrible and like makes your ears and eyes bleed when she's on the screen. We get several different planets, which is great. It's not all just on Tatooine on the desert. And we see Vader, who instantly takes over the screen. I love it. He's acted by Hayden Christensen, the guy who played Anakin in the first, or the movie 1, 2, and 3, the prequel. And he's voiced by James Earl Jones, which I am so glad they got him to voice him because he's getting old. He sounds amazing. It's the guy who was Vader in the first 3 movies made back in the 70s. It's excellent. So good. And they portray Vader. I was afraid Disney wasn't going to be able to do it, but they made Vader vicious. He just walks through town and he is just force choking kids and breaking, literally kids, I think, and breaking necks, and it is amazing. He just wants Obi-Wan, and it's fantastic. Obi-Wan Kenobi and Leia have several excellent scenes getting to know each other in the first half of the episode, and they even are involved with some troopers and an innocent bystander who is pro Empire, and somehow finds out that they are being looked at or being should be investigated by the Empire. I'll say it that way. But I loved all those scenes. There was no action at all. Well, I guess there was action in one of them, but most of it wasn't just dialogue, and it was really good. I think Leia does a great job. The girl playing Leia does a fantastic job for being what she's portrayed as 10 in the show. I don't know how old she actually is, but I think she does a fantastic job. It's very hard to find good child actors. I think she does great. No complaints with Leia unless she's running away from mercenaries or whatever. That's terrible. But none of that in this episode. But yeah, I thought the first half was awesome. Very little action. Obi-Wan did great. Leia did fantastic. The troopers had good parts. We see a new planet, and then we actually see the one of the Empire's bases on a different planet on one scene where Rev is talking to the Inquisitors who don't like her at all, and for some reason they're kind of I don't understand the dynamic. Hopefully we get some more of Reva's background in the next 3 episodes. I'm sure we will, but they seem to be afraid of her, and from unless she's like really gifted with the Force, but she's been on their team the shortest amount of time, so that would make me think that she's probably the weakest. And Vader's fond of her. Well, Vader only cares about whoever can get him Obi-Wan, and she's well on her way, and he promises her she could be the Grand Inquisitor, which, if you gotten this far, you know the Grand Inquisitor got killed in the last episode, but there's no way that's true. He's probably going to make an appearance in the last episode, in the last episode that they're doing, the 6th episode, because he's a very big part of one of the animated series, and it's in time after this. So he's got to come back unless they're retcon that, which I don't see that to be the case. But anyway, Vader promises her that she can be the Grand Inquisitor as long as she gets him Obi-Wan. And she finds out where he is, and Vader shows up into this town where Obi-Wan is, and they're being led through by the undercover agent that the wannabe Jedi in the 2nd episode told Obi-Wan to look for when he got to this planet. And Vader's just walking through town, and he's just picking up kids, breaking their necks, and throwing them against walls, and it's amazing. I don't have any complaints with this episode other than two big parts. First one, Leia is being taken through an underground tunnel to the ship that is going to take her back to her parents. The whole point of them being at this planet was to be found by this undercover agent, taken to this shuttle, get her back home without being seen. That obviously doesn't work out. But somehow, unless I didn't see this properly, but somehow she's going through the tunnel, one-way tunnel, no exits, no side corridors. Reva enters the tunnel way after she does, and the undercover Imperial agent goes back when they're halfway through the tunnel to help Obi-Wan, who's running away from Vader because he somehow completely forgot how to fight. But at the end of the episode, Reva gets in front of Leia, and that's how the episode ends, saying, I guess Leia doesn't know who Reva is, which I guess that makes sense because I don't think Leia's seen her. But she definitely looks like a bad person. Well, she knows that the Inquisitor. She should know that Reva is not on her side. I'm not really sure about that. But I don't understand how Reva got in front, killed the people who was supposed to pilot her to her planet. That makes no sense to me. Unless I missed it, but she entered the same door and went through the same undercover hidden passageway, secret passageway that the Imperial agent took Leia through. But Reva ends up in front. I don't know how that worked. Maybe a slight plot hole there, unless I just didn't see that right, but that's how I saw it. So, other than that, Vader has several dialogues with Obi-Wan as he's kind of like running him down, and Vader, he never runs, so he's just kind of walking him down, I guess. He's doing it Michael Myers style. And eventually they start fighting, and Vader is just annihilating Obi-Wan, as we all thought he would, as he should. Vader's been doing nothing but feeding off his hate, and Obi-Wan can't even use the Force anymore, which I don't completely agree with. I don't know if I completely agree that the way they're portraying Obi-Wan, because the way I've always seen Obi-Wan is his special power, and I think I said this in my first review, his special power is he's consistently decent, if not above average at everything. Also, he trained Anakin, and Anakin was like the hardest people of all time. He never listened, and he never gave up on Anakin. So I don't know if I completely agree with the way they were portraying Obi-Wan. It's an interesting story, but I don't know if it does the character justice. There's people that know way more about this stuff than I do, but from what I understand from my readings and previous, shows and whatnot, that it's surprising how Obi's acting, but it's making good story, so I'll let it go. However, very very into this, Vader picks up Obi-Wan, Force choking, classic, throws a bunch of flammable stuff on the ground, drags Obi-Wan through it, and says, "Your suffering is just beginning," or something like that. Some classic bad guy trope. And then, huge fire, Force pushes Obi-Wan, which puts out the fire. All makes sense, kind of. And then the Imperial agent lights the exact same stuff in the exact same area on fire with a blaster. Okay, I'm with you. Okay, you got me. But all of a sudden, this fire completely negates all of Vader's powers, and this very slow robot, C-3PO style, walks over, picks up Obi-Wan. This is how the episode ends, and Vader does nothing. Vader has been wanting Obi-Wan for 10 years. It's all he's thought about. He's got a whole new robot body, basically unlimited power in comparison to Obi-Wan. Moments ago, Force pushes the fire out just so he can cause more damage to Obi-Wan. Gets interrupted by the agent, shoots the flammable stuff again, catches on fire. Vader is powerless to the fire. He's got 10 troopers behind him. Obviously, this is just a meme at this point. The troopers are shooting at the droid who's walking in slow motion and is like the size of a car. It's like 6'5" and huge. Picks up, and there's like 10 of them shooting, and we're talking 15 yards away, and they can't hit them. Classic trooper trope. Looks stupid. Whatever. Star Wars at this point in time, we all know troopers can't hit anything. If they could, Star Wars been over in movie 1 because they had to kill everybody. I just they did such a good job making Vader look so awesome, but they wrote in the fact that the fire round 2 won. I hated it. Oh, this episode would have been a perfect 10 if they didn't do that. They had the perfect Vader. Reva did awesome. Leia did awesome. Obi-Wan did awesome. Troopers were doing trooper stuff. I liked the Imperial agent. She was in Game of Thrones. She was good in that. Not a very nice person in that, but she doesn't have to be. But yeah, I just hated how they ended it. They ended it with kind of 2 plot holes, in my opinion, because they're kind of jumping back and forth at these last 2 minutes of the episode between the 2 scenes. Vader gets dominated by round 2 fire, and then boop, we switch over, and somehow Reva is in front of Leia in a 1-person tunnel, or a 1-way tunnel. I didn't understand either one of that. But other than those 2 small gripes, if you're not thinking about it, it's not a big deal. This episode was fantastic. If they keep this going through the whole thing, it's going to be great. This is Fearless Dojo. Thanks for watching my review. I'm out.